Hello, Lightning Tamers. Percy here. So today's live stream, I don't do this very often, but I thought I would kind of show you what I'm up to. And what I'm working on is 3D modeling with Fusion 360. And I use Fusion 360 for a lot of my modeling because I do a lot of 3D printing. And I had a client that wanted to have a manifold designed. Usually I use some sort of hand drawing that I would work with, and that usually gets me pretty far. But sometimes they can't, if they're not familiar with the components that go into really producing these arrangements or these systems, it can be very hard to have a drawing that is legible and interesting or uh, has enough information for them to really use it. In this case, this client wants a manifold system for Neon that is like a beginner. You wanted to see if it was different than having it purchased or bought if he could make it himself. And so it's a little exercise and be able to expand on what I've learned over the last 6, almost 7 years in terms of trying to understand these systems on a technical level and having handled various systems as well. I'm going to pull up my manifold, the one that I had modified and added onto and created components for, and we'll see. We'll kind of point out a few different things with that. Let me open this real quick here. So I'm not sure how accurately you can see my mouse here on top of this, but um, this is the neon manifold that I also use with filling for plasma illuminated sculptures. And it's an old Daco manifold that I've modified. And I've studied this. I looked at many other systems as well. And I try to break it down to its main components. If I were to do this all over again, I would make various different choices, but I'll kind of point out what's going on. So part of your main components is that you have various valves within the system. The first valve here goes down into the system. Let me see if I can, and it goes down below, and that goes to your vacuum pump. It sucks air out of the manifold. So a neon manifold both removes air from the system, or removes air from the neon tube or glass vessel, and it also allows you to put gases in so you can light it up with neon, argon, and then for plasma illuminated sculpture, I'm mixing a whole bunch of different gases. So you have your main valve to your vacuum. You have a valve that sometimes is necessary in isolation between the main body. It leads to the vacuum and your workpiece, which is on the far end. We have valves here for letting go of air pressure within the system, or adding air into the system to blow so we can weld on new pieces of glass. There's gauges. So one gauge reads up the atmosphere or absolute pressure, and then you have one that reads much deeper and lower, which are typically our micron gauge or of the sort. And then on the right hand side, I have all my gases. So this system of having the valves, pressure gauges, lines, and then tanks of gas, I consider that the GTS or the gas transfer system. So I got a text here. And what this person wants me to do is recreate this whole thing. If I had ideally was going to do the bare bones and give them a comparison between having someone who already fabricates that system and see where they want to make their decision. Maybe they want to go with having someone fabricate it that already does this as part of their business plan. Or maybe they want to invest in the time as a glass blower working on the torch to make their own first beginner manifold. And I want to go into more detail about this in the future. The reason why I haven't really talked about it so much is it really does take me a bit of time to understand enough to be able to convey the knowledge as accurately as possible. Accuracy and clarity are very important to me. Um, so, if I kind of go back here, I could take a look at my other pictures here. Um, for me, working at the Glass Center, it's about making the system mobile to be able to move it throughout the studio space. So having it in a cart form is very important. If you have the space dedicated for this, then putting it in one location is great. If you're looking to do something with plasma, which plasma illuminated sculpture, then you need to be able to move this to a space where it can be heated, such as a kiln. So mobility is very important. But again, if I were to take this system and redo everything, I would want to simplify this even more. And let me see if I can bring up the part list here from Jimmy. Jimmy is the person who has contacted me to design and kind of give him a part list so you can figure out and compare those prices. So I'm going to duplicate this screen and drag it on over. See if the image loads up. So like I said earlier, I did a really basic drawing, and this basic drawing gives you a sense of like what I'm trying to create with everything. Um, and let's look at this drawing real quick because I'm going to start removing stuff from it. So um, it's sort of a replication of what I already have created, just very streamlined to accommodate various parts and partisans. Um, but if we go to, he basically doesn't want to have a lot of valves in the system. He wants to see if that cuts down his cost. There's also things called the pressure relief valve, things like that. But I'm going to kind of just roll through some of the working process real quick, just so I can get into the 3D modeling aspect. Um, but most of this person agrees with. There are safety considerations that I put in mind, and that is a pressure relief valve. That's just in case, because I have a system where I have an isolation here, and sometimes I keep adding pressure, and it's like, why isn't it going? Why isn't it going? I want to have some way to relieve that pressure so I don't damage my components. There's a diaphragm that reads pressure, and if that gets too much pressure goes, it starts bending out of shape. So I want to make sure that I have something that's going to relieve that pressure so I don't damage measuring equipment, I don't damage O-rings and things like that. Um, there's also the electrode ground. We'll kind of zoom in on that real quick and show you. There's the electrode ground. Basically, I use this primarily in the practice of um, plasma, where I can draw it away from the electrical components, because when you're working with plasma illuminated objects, you're turning the power on, and the way electricity wants to travel, it wants to travel to least path of resistance. So if it's not as resistive mixture of gases, it'll want to fill and illuminate the entire manifold. And so that just draws the energy here. It's also a useful tool to have in your manifold for bombarding. If, say, you make that mistake and you have a very capacitive, very conductive stream of gas, and it wants, while you're bombarding, it's going to want to travel through your system. So you want to protect your O-ring or protect your electrical component or protect your gauges by drawing it away from anything that could be possibly harmed. And so that's the other object that a person wants to remove. I'm not sure exactly why. I do hope that someone jumps on or leaves a comment about sort of the difference in neon manifolds, whether you want the electrode ground or not. I'm in favor of it, because one of the dangers is that, oh, it's going to move towards that ground. Well, that means the ground is actually functioning properly. It's doing its job. And the reason why it's more enticing is something you're doing on your bombarding session. I'm not an expert on bombarding for neon, so I can't really tell you much about that. But from my understanding of that, it's not a huge risk if you're doing everything proper. This person also wants to remove one of the valves in the system. Now they're using a different canister. I'm going to bring it up here shortly. But if you have a huge high pressure tank, there's these valves here that's immediately on the tank, and then there's a line between another valve, and that's a reservoir that we would fill from. So we turn on from the tank, fill the line, close the tank. Then we fill from this reservoir into our pieces. That way there is the least amount of chance of you accidentally opening the tank, flooding the entire system with high pressure gas or just gas in general wastefully. But I'm going to pull up my Fusion 360 screen and we'll take a look at that. So with the now with the tanks that this person is using, which is the CGA 600 tanks. Let me just pull up an image here so you can see what that looks like. I know this sounds going to sound like a lot of gibberish for the most part. CGA 600 disposable cylinders. They don't have a valve or regulator on it, meaning that they're pressurized and they're sealed within the canister or cylinder. And that means that anytime you add I'm going to show you this again here. Anytime you add a valve or a connection point to it, it's going to want to flow from there. And so it's not really common. You can get valves that are on the actual, like little metering valves on there, so you have something to control from. But this person wanted to do this on the cheap. And I don't think I found one for CGA 600 yet. So in the systems that I've seen, you'll kind of use some sort of valve. So if we go back to 360 here, Fusion, you can see that the valve that connects to the disposable bottle is here. And that's why I put this valve in place. Now I've observed Manifold from other makers, and I'm going to refrain from mentioning their name just to kind of keep on their good side. They tend to be a little paranoid when it comes to other people talking about their business or what their designs are. So I'm going to leave their name out. If you are in industry or you know about this person, you know what I'm talking about. So I like to have this 2-valve system because of that. The tank doesn't have a valve on it, so you put a valve before it. That allows you to meter the gas between the two sections, and it's sitting here between these 2 valves. Now this person's has seen on this other distributors various versions where they just have 1 valve. And the reason why I want to not do it that way is because of that one reason. You open this valve up too much, and then too much of the gas comes out. You either overpressurize your system, damage your gauges, or blow out your U gauge, or any sort of beginner possible mistakes. And you could accidentally forget to turn off your valve and lose $800 worth of gas. So that I tried to argue for that in general. I explained all the safety mechanisms to the client, but they still didn't want to. They still didn't want to have those features. So I'm going to jump right into it. Just keep working. I have a pressure relief valve. I'm still modeling it because I want to be able to use this when I kind of get my three-dimensional model and kind of talk through everything with much more context and clarity. So this is more of a work session with me in terms of what I'm doing today. So how am I working through designing bits and pieces? How am I trying to do different things? So I'm going to... So hopefully this music's fine. I don't really like doing things in silence so much. So I got some royalty-free music to stream here. So got questions, ask them. I'd like to answer them. So the pressure relief valve works with this little spring mechanism. what it does is it receives enough pressure from the one side, it exits out and opens up just enough for it to evacuate and then equalize. And that's how that works. It's simply a valve that releases pressure so that nothing builds up so much that the glass breaks or instrument's damaged. And there's a way to sort of calibrate that, but I don't think it's terribly necessary because it's between, say, 5 psi and 15, and that's well within the safety limits of the glass. When I'm building these things, I use an image and I scale it up to the measurements I need. I know that this part, which is, what's the name of the part? This part, which is from Chem Glass, CG99901, has a 0 to 4 millimeter bore, in that the outer casing is 13 millimeter, and the side arm is relatively, I got this book in front of me for strong reference, the side arm is typically 9 millimeters in diameter. So I created I brought the sketch out into the drawing out into the canvas, drew up several different shapes and extruded to get my form. I'm using sort of this plastic colorant so that I can see through the object and mark my form. I'm not going to go into too many details. I'm just modeling it here. I'm not trying to create some accurate flow sort of thing. So it's just a representative of the scale of the model. Since I've already done the extruding here, I'm going to start working on this side. And the way that I do that is I select this wall and I start working on the sketch. Knowing that that is 9 millimeters in diameter, I'm immediately going to just draw that. And draw my 9 millimeter circle. And you may not be able to see my side, any of my drop-down windows. I wish that was like a feature that I can activate. I'll have to do a little more research to figure out how to make that work. But essentially, there are drop-downs that allows me to make these shapes that you're not seeing on the screen.
Whether she's a pet mom, a plant mom, or the mom who raised you, celebrate Mother's Day this year with the gift she'll use all the time. Get up to $400 off Peloton tread, row, guide, or bike packages, and choose from accessories like our heart rate band, row mat, cycling shoes, and more. This is a perfect gift for mom to explore what gets her moving. Whether she has 5 or 20 minutes, she can choose from classes like techno rides, country walks, or an 80s row. All access membership and guide membership separate. Offer ends May 14, 2023. Excludes Peloton tread, row, bike, and bike plus basic, and Peloton guide standalone. See additional terms at onepeloton.com.
Okay, true stories from Huntington customers with Annie.
So I kind of work from
You're a woman-owned business. You're growing. How does banking fit in?
Huntington feels like a part of our team, and when I got the news that we had gotten into our dream retailer, I said, Huntington is the reason that we can accept this contract. You allowed us to get here. It's something that we're
kind of gives me
Get more than money from your bank. Welcome to Huntington. Real people compensated for true stories.
To be honest, I'm really into
Tide Power Pods have 85% more Tide.
Who needs that much more Tide?
Well, when giving your muddy dog a bath turns into you getting a mud shower, yikes, you're gonna need more Tide. When your wine tasting becomes a wine spilling, yeah, you're gonna need more Tide. Or if your favorite shirt is your kid's favorite napkin. Great, I'm gonna need more Tide. My mom gave me that shirt.
It's a mess out there. Tide Power Pods have 85% more Tide versus Tide
really
Pods.
It's as simple as like making your shape and extruding, because shapes are very simple. I don't have to like stress too much about how I'm working through that exactly. But I just give myself views to work with. It's relatively simple to kind of play around and see where these things evolve. I know the taper needs to be like -20, I think. No, it has to be 20 out. 20 or 15 typically gets me there, I think. I'm just gonna just go right into that thing. Hopefully I can see where I'm at there. Trying to sort of get a good angle to work with that can meet the object without going over the diameter. that, it's probably like 8. But it's again, this is representation, not like super accuracy. And I can smooth that out so it looks a little better as well. I'm gonna put the music back on now this commercial's done. There we go. That looks nice. One thing I forgot is I actually hollowed this out a while back. And I'll have to look at this step. So, edit feature. Which one did I hollow out? Nope, not that one. I guess I didn't do that. Sometimes I can't remember if I made a hollow section or not. Did not yet. That's what I did earlier today. So. Hopefully get some people joining me on here on live stream, but no worries, just do it out for an hour. All good. So, this leaves me with some options. So I can hollow this out. I'm trying to figure out how to make this section here. Okay. This is hard thinking right now. So I can bisect it. What if I bisect it at this is the body, bisect it at this line. I'm just gonna play around with this. I'm gonna do that instead. Let's see. Let's hollow it out. Because I got all my major things now. I'm just gonna hollow it out. So select all my parts. And I'm gonna shell it out. It's like. Won't let me hollow it out like that. It's always some type of problem that's happening with these forms. I think it's really ridiculous that it can't do that for me. And I wanted to hollow it out just to be cool. Let's see. You know, I was gonna finish it that way, but it's not letting me do it. See, it'll let me expand outside, but not inside. It's so dumb. This is usually why I have so much trouble. I try to do specific things, and it's like, no, you can't do that. So it'll let you do that, but it won't let you inside. Why not? Okay, fine, I'll do it that way. I'll just scale it down a little bit. Scale and scale, scale. Do a little math here. Try this again. Let's scale. I know it's 8 point something.
This summer, no matter where you're going, bring Kinder Bueno along for the ride. The smooth milk chocolate, crispy wafer, and creamy hazelnut filling will turn your ordinary road trip into an extraordinary journey that's made to savor. So what are you waiting for? Grab your Kinder Bueno bar at the next stop.
6.
When crispy meets creamy, life gets bueno. Tap the banner to shop now.
Nature has evolved powerful bug-fighting abilities over billions of years.
That's sort of it.
Well,
It's probably
except
a little
for
bit different than
humans.
that. It's
That's
usually
why
around
STEM
than
Bug
anything
Killer
else.
looked to nature, isolating powerful active ingredients found in plants that target nerves bugs have, but people don't. So it's safe to use as directed around people and pets. STEM Bug Killer, rooted in nature, optimized by science. Visit stemforbugs.com to learn more.
The Landing Hotel at Rivers Casino is now open. Enjoy free valet parking and free breakfast with panoramic views of downtown. Connected directly to the casino, guests have easy access to the gaming floor and a variety of dining and entertainment options. Pittsburgh has a new destination for weekend getaways, weddings, corporate events, and more. Be right in the heart of the action and book your stay today at thelandinghotelpgh.com.
What if I changed the measurements in which everything was extruded from? That's what I'll do. Yeah, that's you just change what was extruded from. Let's see. If it added a millimeter on the thickness, that means it'll be 15, which means I have to subtract 2, which means I want to have it as 11. And then a sidearm, which is another sketch. 7. It's the other work backwards, I guess. Sometimes Fusion just doesn't let you do certain things. Like, it's not gonna let you end up doing like. It's just sometimes it's just very stupid. It just doesn't let you do certain things. But here we go. We have it. We have the things we wanted to do. So. So you can't see me put in numbers here, but that's what I'm doing. The same over here. I do want to create that internal structure. I'm really excited to try that. It's not necessary. Could be wasting my time doing that. So I'm going to think about just not doing that. Just to save myself time, because it's not super duper necessary. But I will find a way to differentiate that in some factor. Let's see. What is the measurement here from here? Let's make a sketch. I'm going to approximate. Let's say 25, just to be simple. Much of this is just really fast guessing. I kind of don't want to feel like I'm wasting too much time for my client. So I'm just going to kind of hit all my beats as much as I can. And this looks like it was probably more like 24. So let's go back and change that. Again, like I said, my workflow is just very like first is I'm going to separate those two components. So here's the body. I'm going to split the body using the face from the body. Which like should work. Like you think it would work. It's not for some reason. Go back, change the attribute to glass. Let's see, glass, where you just coloring the faces. No, come on, motherfucker. There we go. Now this could be that section I want to add on there on this other side, or it could be whatever. Bring my screen up so I can see my drawing again. Because I had the pressure relief valve for the client here, but I'm just going to move it over to where I want to have it anyways, and it's going to be right across from over here. Yeah. So I can hide the canvas. There's some sketches I can hide. So many sketches. If I got more serious, I could choose to label what these steps are. Let's see. So I'm going to change the create components from body. This new component will be labeled sorry, you can't see the labels here. CG-999-01, which is the part name of pressure relief valve and description.
Whether she's a pet mom, a plant mom, or the mom who raised you, celebrate Mother's Day this year with the gift she'll use all the time. Get up to $400 off Peloton tread, row, guide, or bike packages, and choose from accessories like our heart rate band, row mat, cycling shoes, and more. This is the perfect gift for mom to explore what gets her moving. Whether she has 5 or 20 minutes, she can choose from classes like techno rides, country walks, or an 80s row. All access membership and guide membership separate. Offer ends May 14, 2023. Excludes Peloton tread, row, bike, and bike plus basics, and Peloton guide standalone. See additional terms at onepeloton.com.
Okay, true stories from Huntington with Veronica and her banker Roger.
Veronica, you were nervous about trying to get a home. Why is that?
Nobody likes to hear the word no. You know, one day I just said, okay, I'm going to go talk to the banker.
As a component.
How'd it go, Roger?
There was a bump in the road. We hit it.
So we're going to move this.
But we navigated right through it. Veronica,
create a copy.
Get more than money from your bank. Welcome to Huntington. Real people compensated for true stories. Loan subject to credit application and approval. Equal housing lender.
Confidence is realizing you don't need to become your best self, because you already are. Orbit lets you feel fresh and confident once again, helping you do what makes you ding. Whether you need a little kick for your car karaoke, or a little boost to brave the dance floor. Yeah, embrace the ding with Orbit. Click or tap the banner to learn more.
See, there was a section here that works just fine. I keep forgetting I got to do something different. I need to copy and then paste some of the reason another way. Okay, this is where I do that move. I guess I do have to make a little bit of detail just to make it a little more accurate. 11 millimeters, so make your circle. And then make your 4 millimeter circle. But I can make that a hole, so that's okay. It's up to just before the arm. And I make a hole. That hole would be 4 millimeters. And it's going to kind of taper out a little bit, I think. Always making things more difficult for myself. Screw it. Is there a way to offset that? Simplify, simplify, simplify. cool part here is I can just take this and shorten that if I want to. But I'm actually going to make a clone of this first. This new clone will be scaled up in a moment. So I'm going to rename this as the larger valve, which is CG934-03.
All new spring deals are here at Lowe's. Get top deals on everything you need to freshen up your yard, like the Cobalt 24-volt string trimmer and leaf blower combo kit, only at Lowe's. Was $199, now just $149. Plus, get your lawn in shape with up to $15 off select Scott's Easy Seed Lawn Repair Mixes. Lowe's knows spring. Lowe's knows home improvement. Offers valid through 5/17. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Scott's offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
The internet can be an all-you-can-eat buffet for identity thieves.
So full.
Too many maiden names.
And social security numbers.
Where'd you find those?
By the password bar. Can't miss them.
Math here.
LifeLock alerts you to identity threats you could miss by monitoring your credit and bank statements. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year. Go to lifelock.com/Spotify.
13.
Invest in yourself and level up your career with an MBA from Loyola University Maryland's Selinger School of Business. Through our Professionals MBA program, you'll learn from the best, make door-opening connections, and gain critical business and leadership skills that you can apply immediately at work. Pursue your degree fully online or in a hybrid format. Either way, you'll be more than ready. Loyola ready.
13 gives me my scale, which would be 1.69. I'm going to take as many digits as possible so that when I get back to the screen and I scale this up, how's the pressure gauge? What's happening? Very strange. How those two get linked? So this valve would be, not a pressure relief valve, would be 0.04 bore, which means a 0.01. Copy. And this would be the correct number for that, which means I scale this, and I scale it to 1.6923, which should give me the outer diameter. Of 22 millimeters, right? Yeah. And it goes right next to it. And this should be, sidearm should be about what, 15 millimeters if I'm correct. Let's see if that's correct. Strange. Let's see, 15. Come on. 15 on the dot, yep. I just rotate that bad boy down. It's not the same stopcock, but it's similar. And we'll just use that same thing. This doesn't have to be as tall, so I'm going to modify that real quick. Just like this doesn't have to be this long either. That gets cut down as well. Says the client said they didn't want to have all this other stuff here. I'm just going to get rid of the gauges and all that stuff. Like, didn't want the gauges, that's fine. Don't want the extra valves, that's fine. Oops. Wow, can't remove those for some reason. Oh, because I have them rigged together. Try this again. Why is it not working well? What the fuck's going on? Okay, come on. I don't understand what's going on. How long is this again? Secondary unit's gonna be inches here. Inches. I guess you could make a system that's 12 inches long. Oh, it seems kind of tight though. More or less, this is pretty much most of it. The next session will be basically adding the next portion of this thing, which I'm not sure if I can. I'm going to throw the drawing down onto the actual board here and see what's up and trace a few different things.
With Trojan Bearskin Raw, you'll love every hair-raising, spine-tingling, heart-racing feeling. Trojan Bearskin Raw, America's thinnest latex
just stripping it down, bare bones. He wants to retrap. I can tell him you don't
Veronica
need
and
to
her banker Roger.
Veronica, you were nervous about trying to get a home. Why's that?
Nobody likes to hear the word no. You know, one day I just said, okay, I'm gonna go talk to the banker.
How'd it go, Roger?
If there was a bump in the road,
I'm going to cut it here. I'm going to go talk to my client.
But we navigated right through it. Veronica kept pushing.
Get more than money from your bank. Welcome to Huntington. Real people compensated for true stories. Loan subject to credit application and approval. Equal housing lender.
I'm looking into
Reese's peanut butter cups are the greatest, but let me play devil's advocate here. Let's see. So,
I just wanted to stop off and get this just to see who's interested, who's a jump on.
Reese's, you did it. You stumped this charming devil.
Don't forget to check out Taming Lightning.
Hey, Spotifyers. Click or tap the banner to listen to lo-fi beats, the chillest beats to help you relax, study, code, and focus. Brought to you by CeraVe. Remember to use a product with SPF every day to help protect skin against damaging UV rays. Try CeraVe AM Moisturizing Lotion with SPF 30 for hydrated, healthy-looking skin.
Tools I can recommend for the process of plasma and neon, things that I will eventually talk about more about through the blog or podcasting and through other related networks, so stay tuned for that. This is like my next big jump, which is to find ways to support myself here as I navigate self-employment, or I rather call myself an independent creative. And so just trying to find new cool designs. If you like these noble gases, you find an affinity to maybe you're an outsider for xenon, and you're like, oh cool, I could use a mug for my tea and coffee and things like that. And I created these designs during the 2 months of lockdown in 2020 and put these on t-shirts and whatnot. So you can get those on t-shirts. Maybe you're like, man, like I want this on an apron. I want it on my bending apron. I want to be able to look nice and stylish while I'm bending neon. So you got votes for putting it on aprons. I can definitely do that. It won't take me too long at all. So yeah. Till next time.